Men driving luxurious cars would always park and queue in front of Mama Ejiro's bukka stand just to eat her food, leaving other classy eateries. This raised a cause for alarm among the food vendors. What could possibly be the secret behind Mama Ejiro's food? Her bukka stand was the talk of Ikeja town. Little did they know that the greed for wealth and power of Mama Ejiro had led her to harbor some dark secrets. Watch this interesting story till the end and see how greed controlled Mama Ejiro. Mama Ejiro's bukka wasn't always packed with fancy cars or men in suits eager to savor her food. In her early days, she struggled just like any other street vendor in Ikeja. She was known for her sharp tongue and a quick temper, qualities that didn't exactly win her friends. She had been widowed young, raising her children on her own with little help from anyone, and she often let the bitterness of her life spill over onto anyone who dared to cross her. Though her food was good, there were plenty of others serving the same rice, beans, and plantain, and her stall often remained as quiet as her personality was prickly. But Mama Ejiro craved more than just a steady stream of customers. She wanted power, respect, and wealth, and she felt it was long overdue. She wanted to rise above the other vendors, to make them look at her with envy rather than judgment. So when she heard whispers about an old well deep in the heart of the woods, a well rumored to have cursed, haunted water, she was intrigued. It was said that the water was used by spirits and ghosts who roamed the night, and that whoever dared to use it would be granted a strange, irresistible charm. Her friends had warned her against even going near the place, telling her that the well was cursed and that people who used its water would eventually pay a high price. But Mama Ejiro, driven by greed and a desire to outshine everyone else, ignored them. Late one night, under the cover of darkness, she made her way to the well. There, she lowered her clay pot and drew up the murky water, feeling a shiver run down her spine as she lifted it. A deep, eerie voice echoed from within the well. "You dare to use our water?" She swallowed hard, but her voice remained steady. "I need this power," she said, her voice dripping with determination. "I want people to desire my food. I want them to come from far and wide, to make me rich and respected." The voice chuckled darkly. "Then you shall have what you desire. But remember, once you start, you cannot stop. You must return to this well every night to draw fresh water, and you must never tell a soul about our deal. Fail us, and you will suffer dearly." Mama Ejiro nodded, a sly smile creeping onto her lips. The spirits had given her just what she wanted. She carried the pot back to her bukka, her heart pounding with excitement, already envisioning the riches and power that would come her way. And, as if overnight, her fortunes changed. Men in flashy cars started arriving at her stall, their eyes glazed with a peculiar hunger as they savored each bite of her food. Her dishes tasted the same to her, but to them, they were irresistible. These men could afford to eat at five-star restaurants, but they craved the taste of her jollof rice, her fried fish, her peppered goat meat. They returned day after day, singing her praises, and soon her name was whispered throughout Ikeja. With her newfound wealth, Mama Ejiro's ambitions only grew. She expanded her bukka, hiring workers, young women she kept busy cooking and serving, while she lounged in the shade, basking in her success. Her rivals watched in disbelief as her business flourished. Eventually, she moved into a grand mansion, complete with a large gate and servants. She bought expensive clothes, covered herself in jewelry, and hosted lavish parties for her high society customers. She never worried about her success fading. Every night, without fail, she would walk down the familiar path to the haunted well, filling her pot with the ghostly water that had become the secret of her success. But Mama Ejiro's greed was endless. She began adding more items to her menu, charging higher prices, and even refusing to serve some of her old customers. Her heart, hardened by years of bitterness, now became cold with arrogance. She no longer cared for anything but her own wealth and status, and anyone who dared question her faced her wrath. One night, after a particularly successful day, she returned to the well feeling more confident than ever. But in her arrogance, she made a grave mistake. The spirits had warned her to only draw as much water as she needed and to always keep it covered. That night, as she filled her pot, she left it open, exposing it to the night air as she carried it back to her bukka. She had become careless, feeling untouchable in her success. The following day, she set up her stall as usual, confident that her customers would come flocking. But something was different. The familiar line of cars arrived, yet as her customers began eating, they looked at her with strange expressions. Their eyes, which usually sparkled with delight, were filled with a vacant emptiness. They continued eating, their faces expressionless, while an uneasy feeling began to stir in Mama Ejiro's chest. As the last customer left that evening, a voice echoed in her mind, a cold, unforgiving whisper that sent chills down her spine. "You have failed us, Mama Ejiro. You broke our row." Mama Ejiro clutched her head as the voices grew louder, echoing in her mind with a dark fury. It was as if the spirits themselves had taken hold of her thoughts, twisting and warping her reality. She tried to push them away, to shake off the feeling, but the voices grew louder, taunting her, condemning her for her greed and carelessness. Her workers watched in horror as Mama Ejiro began muttering to herself, her eyes wide, her movements frantic. She clutched her head, stumbling around her stall, her voice rising to a scream as the spirits' voices filled her mind. "I did it. I took the water," she shouted, her voice hoarse and desperate. "I used the water to make you all crave my food. You fools thought it was my cooking, but it was never that, it was the ghost water. All of it, every bite you ate, was made with cursed water." A crowd had gathered, watching as Mama Ejiro's confession spilled from her lips. The men who had once eagerly devoured her food backed away in shock, their faces pale with horror as they realized what they had been consuming. The other vendors looked on with grim satisfaction, the truth finally revealed after all these years. Mama Ejiro's face twisted in horror as she looked around, realizing the crowd that had gathered. The whispers of the spirits grew louder, mocking her, filling her with a terror she couldn't escape. She broke into a run, screaming down the street, her voice echoing through Ikeja as she confessed everything, her deepest, darkest secrets spilling out with every step. For days, she wandered the streets, her hair wired, her clothes torn, her eyes wide with madness. She spoke to the air, muttering to unseen spirits, her mind completely lost to the voices that had once given her power. The mansion, her firstborn sold the mansion and used the money to gamble, drink and party and became broke. His two younger siblings had to go to the orphanage. Mama Ejiro's legacy was reduced to a cautionary tale for those who dared to seek power through dark means. The people of Ikeja moved on, avoiding the path where Mama Ejiro now roamed, her voice a haunting reminder of the price of unchecked greed.